Hello and welcome to my presentation on crude oil. What is crude oil? Crude oil is a limited resource found within our Earth. It is made of the remains of living organisms that were alive on Earth millions of years ago. The crude oil is formed from plankton and other forms of sea life that were alive millions of years ago. The crude oil forms because the organisms that died are not able to decompose before layers of sediment or dirt are covering them and smother them. In these conditions, only anaerobic bacteria are able to survive. But this process does take a long time, approximately 150 million years. This image here shows plankton under a microscope. So after that very long time, we eventually get a liquid informally referred to as black gold. The name comes from black describing the color and gold referring to how it makes whoever involved rich. And here you can see the black color of the crude oil. What types of molecules are contained within crude oil? At the molecular level, crude oil has varying lengths of chains or rings called hydrocarbons. These can vary from 1 carbon, CH4 called methane, to longer chains like octadecane with 18 carbons. And here's what they look like with their skeletal structure. This will be the carbon here, and with the octadecane, each carbon is on the points. So from crude oil we're able to get fuels like petroleum, diesel, kerosene or jet fuel, and lubricating oils from crude oil after it's all been processed. To process the crude oil, a technique called fractional distillation is used. This process will separate the varying chain lengths based on their boiling point. So fractional distillation. Distillation is a process of extracting hydrocarbons by heating up crude oil. When the crude oil has reached a certain point, it will evaporate. The evaporated gases are collected at certain points depending on how heavy the gas is. A fractioning tower here shown on the left. It is hotter at the bottom and cooler towards the top. The hot vapors will rise up, cooling as they do so, and they will then return to their liquid state and can be siphoned off. The longer chains of hydrocarbons stay at the bottom of the tower. These can be treated again in a process called cracking. So how does the length and shape affect the usefulness? So when we have a long chain, we can use a process called cracking, and this will basically break down the longer chains into shorter chains. The shorter chains are more useful. So the longer chains are placed over a hot catalyst. This causes the carbon-carbon bonds to break, and from this we get our very desired products. These are shorter and more applicable hydrocarbons. And this process also creates the formation of double bonds on carbon-carbon. These are called alkenes, and these can be used to create monomers, which then go on to become plastics, like polyethylene. The difference between, including the double bond, is that the alkenes with the double bond are unsaturated, and they must have at least one carbon-to-carbon double bond.